I wanted to pick your brain, Vince. You said going into your last fight that the main focus was trying to enter the flow state as quickly as possible. First of all, what is the flow state? And second, how do you drill to be able to get into the flow state?
You don't know the flow state?
Come on, bro. I'm just saying maybe the viewers don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's for the viewers. Obviously, everything. It's fightTIPS.
I know.
We know. Explain it.
Well, the flow state is, one, it's something that you feel, right? And you know when you're in it. Some athletes will call it being in the zone. And you know that. You know, like, some of your best athletic performances are when you kind of don't even really remember what happened. You're just in there and you're doing your thing.
Right.
I know you do that as a wrestler, boxer, Muay Thai, whatever it is. You're completely in the zone and time just flies by.
Yeah, so this isn't exclusive to fighters then. This is all athletes.
This is life. This is like purely being present and absorbing everything around you and just being there. Okay. Not being stuck in your head, not thinking of something else, not thinking of the past or the future. You're just there living and being.
Okay, so not even just athletes then. You're saying gamers, artists.
Oh yeah, it's saying humans, all humans. Listen,
okay.
There's a, like he was saying, that state of being, that state of like flowing, right? There are certain times where like you wake up late, but somehow like things start to magically go together for you for like days and events on end, not just moments where like, oh, the mailman threw the thing and it landed right in my hand. Like that's, you know, that's some random kind of stuff. But I'm talking about drastic moments. I'm talking moments where you're like, yo, I'm in the flow of things. Things are going right. My diet's good. My weight. I stepped on the scale. I'm 2 pounds light. Like you start to understand being in the flow. Now, when you start to relate it to sports, that's when it becomes intense related. That's when it becomes the flow. Still the flow, still things going in your direction and the moments being one. Right. But the intensity and the demand of the flow is much different. What were you about to say?
I think you hit it on perfect, man. Like not thinking about the past or the future, although you should be thinking about the next moves, and it is right to plan and prepare, but we only have the moment right now. That punch that's about to land, you gotta be prepared right now for it. That pause in my brain, you got to think about it right now. The thing that's happened in life, if you're not present and you're not aware, life's gonna pass you by. You know, there's a reason why.
Yeah. So what do you guys do? Like specifically with your training, is there a way for you? Like, do you have an anchor? Do you have a word that you say? Do you have a breathing exercise? Like, how do you get there?
Yeah, I'm sure we talked about it before. So we have, you call it an anchor. I call it kind of a reset.
Right.
So sometimes when I feel like I'm stuck in my head too much, or I'm thinking too much about the next moves coming, or I should be doing this more, I should be doing that more. Sometimes I'll take a step back out of the pocket and take a nice deep breath, and in my mind I'm going reset. Okay. And then I step back in, and this is where I try to be a lot more present once I hop back in. So some guys have little ticks. You'll see, like TJ Dillashaw, again, I watch this dude all the time because he's the top, he's the king of the 35 division, so this is the guy that we need to beat, right? He comes out, and outside of range here, he crosses his feet up a little bit. He does this thing where he knows, like, you're not going to hit me from out here. And you can see him moving, kind of just getting in the zone. I think in that moment, he's kind of resetting, feeling the person out, and getting into, okay, this is my
1000%
this is my rhythm.
That is what, as a person who moves often and moves very actively during the fight or in practice or even in my wrestling career, if you watch, I was always active with my feet. But there are some times where the offense that you're looking at or that you're trying to implement is being defended either effectively or just enough to annoy you, right? To the point where you're like, okay, either your offense isn't working or your defense isn't working. One or the other has to make you restart and you have to, whether it be the bell going back and starting over, or like you said, me, it was the flow of my footwork. Like you said, there's a little dance that he was doing when he gets back here where it's just, okay, me as a wrestler, when I was wrestling, it was, like it was just a simple, almost Tito Ortiz before his fight starts kind of bounce. Like, this, I'm getting ready, but I would do it during a match. Like, I would be wrestling, and if I have shot a couple shots and I have been annoyed or things aren't going well, I would just come out of my stance. And I would literally just go, all right, like I'm about to clean off, and like nothing happened. Literally, reflow, restart, reset, and get into a whole new game. I'll literally sometimes even bounce and come back into a different stance, trying to do different things, completely changing the script.
Is this conscious? Like you?
Oh yeah, it's very conscious because you're consciously knowing you're not doing what you want. Because if you were doing what you wanted, you would already be in the flow. There would be no understanding of not being in the flow. There would be no understanding of needing to reset. You don't reset when you're already doing things well.
Is this you also do this in a time where high stress? So obviously before the fight is high stress, during the fight is high stress. But let's say you get caught with a shot, you stumble, you're up against the cage, and he's moving towards you. Do you have anything in that moment that you do to keep your cool?
I mean, I haven't really been hurt that often in my fights.
Right.
Wrong guy to ask.
Wrong.
I've been put on my butt a few times, just fast ones where it's like a little flash. I'm up here and oop, I'm on the ground.
Yeah.
And I have to do something, right? But in that moment, it's such a fight or flight type of thing. Like you're just reacting and you're reduced to your level of training. So automatically, if I'm on the ground, this guy's coming in, boom, I'm grabbing the leg, I'm trying to hold on, I'm trying to whatever. If it's jiu-jitsu, I'm pulling guard, I'm getting this in. So I would say that you're almost knocked into a flow state when something bad happens there.
Wow.
So if, let's say, you're getting whooped on, but you're conscious and you're still out there, then I would try to do what Bubba did, or what he's talking about is hit that reset, but you got to get out and safe before you do it.
Right.
So I think it's always just, okay, safety, safety, safety. Okay, we've got some range. I'm going to stay well out of range. I'm going to keep moving. I'm not going to look like I'm hurt, and I'm resetting at the same time. Taking my nice deep breath,
Like you
and
said,
then I'm ready to get back.
The resetting also sometimes you reset consciously. But
Yeah.
also, like he said, you get knocked into a flow.
Right.
You get knocked into a reset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're there doing your thing, and maybe you are in the flow, and you get knocked into an offsetting flow to where you have to reset. You have to really get back into that flow. So sometimes it isn't just, oh, I'm frustrated. It's, oh, things are going good. Bam, bam, your combination, and then you just was getting too pretty. You left that hand out there a little too long, and then crack. You're like, oh, in my fight, I hit him with the 1-2, and then I stepped back off of it. I slipped it and hit him back with a 2. Okay, the third round came out. I tried to be pretty with it, and I moved back so far when I hit him with the 2, I just missed it. So I came back and tried to be a little bit pretty with it to just miss and come back, and he cracked me. I mean, boom. And I immediately seen 3 of them. Like, oh, no.
Hit the one in the middle.
They say hit the one in the middle, but that isn't the one I was fearing. Because he had hit me in my left eye, so hitting the one in the middle wasn't solving my problem, honestly.
Yeah.
And this is literally, I had trained this because I got hit in training like this, but the reset of circling to whichever way is open, and then looking for the lead leg, whichever lead leg I can find.
Okay.
Whether it was the 17 that was there, as he hit me, I knew it was coming from this like the flash. I knew it was coming from this direction. So as I saw the 3 of them, I just circled to the right and I looked for the lead leg as I normally would in a regular resetting of like fundamental. I got knocked in the fundamental basis of get to the rest of the position in me, lead leg shot.
Well, you guys are saying the same thing. Vince, you said something that just clicked for me. You said when you get rocked, you get reduced to your level of training. And that is kind of what we talked about in a previous video where people are like, I watch fightTIPS videos all the time, or I train at a gym, but my first fight, I just freeze up and I forget everything. It's like, well, then your level of training isn't high enough then.
No,
You
should not be in a fight then, at
yeah.
that point. Even as an amateur, your level of some sort of training. So I didn't go amateurs as an MMA fighter. I went straight pros. But when I got hit, my level of training was national champ wrestling.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
whatever form that is in whatever sport of combat I'm doing, that's what you have to rely on. So if your level of training after getting taken down is world champion boxing, it doesn't equate. But if your level of training after being taken down, whether you got taken down or never been taken down, if your level of training is brown belt jiu-jitsu, then you're going to be okay. So sometimes, like you said, your level of training, it goes back to the things you've worked on and also who you are. Who you are.
Yeah.
It's all about how you train. You're gonna fight how you train. And that's always gonna show up. And like we said, like you got hit with that hook. Life hits you in the face. Whether it's in the octagon, whether it's in the ring, or whether it's in court, or whether it's at your home. Life's gonna come at you. So that's why I say you gotta always be prepared, no matter what your sport is.
Know which way it's coming from in life, like I did.
Yeah.
Know which way it's coming from, and get back to your fundamentals. Get back to what made you solid. What made you get into the flow in the first place. You know the flow.
That's how you feel.
Yeah.
And I would say avoid getting really emotional too in those moments. So these guys who just start fighting, who are saying like, oh, I can't focus when I get in there, or it's my first time fighting and I just kind of freaked out, whatever it is. Like you're getting too emotional about it. Like when you're in a flow state, you're emotionless. You're just in there. You're doing your thing.
Interesting. Okay.
You're flowing with it. Like in my second pro fight, I had my hands up and a guy dropped me because he threw a really wide, long left hook. Boom, on my ass. But I got back up and I was fine. But then in my head I was angry. I was like, there's no way this guy should have dropped me. So I was swinging with everything I had. I never do that. I don't even do it in training, but I was mad. And he ended up taking me down a few times from that. And, you know, I usually don't get taken down like that in a fight. So I was able to reset after the round. I actually dropped him with one of those big punches. So it was like a little bit of payback and I relaxed. But then I came back, you know, I got emotionless again. I got in there, did my thing, and finished him. But the main takeaway from that fight for me was, don't get emotional. You get dropped and you're mad about it, yeah, sure. But you got to just get back up in there and be present. And it's going to come. It's going to happen just like how you've been training the whole time. So if you are just starting out fighting, sparring, if it's your first few amateur fights, recognize those moments where you're getting emotional and realize, okay, now's my time to reset. Now's my time.
I had a sports psychiatrist in college for different reasons of anxiety. I wasn't an angry wrestler. I was more of a happy, everyone look at me kind of wrestler. So when someone took me down or embarrassed me, it wasn't like an anger thing. It was like, I'm gonna get you back, but it wasn't like, I'm gonna, like you get angry. My anxiety came from the fear of losing and from the fear of someone's gonna do to me what I've been doing to people.
Right.
So the anxiety is different. It's real as far as mental, what you go into the fight as, because you can go into the fight conditioned 100%. Like physically conditioned. Well, I've been in training where I could go hours in the gym, doing whatever the coach wanted. Wrestle this guy, wrestle that guy, 100 days, doesn't matter. And then get into a match, take 2 shots, and be gassed because of the true anxiety that's happening in my mentality or in my mind.
The adrenaline
so
dump and
the adrenaline dump, the difference of him getting pissed and his anxiety going to anger, mine was an anxiety of fear. It's still, nonetheless, a mental thing that has to be addressed in your knowing where the flow is, emotionalness, having that calmness of experience.
Very interesting. Yeah, and you brought up sports psychology too. There's a lot of fight coach. Yeah, is that
That's what I went to school for, man.
I didn't know that.
Psychology, baby.
We got to do more psychology with Coach PJ on here then.
Oh, baby, come on.
But
absolutely.
Vinny Shorman, I've taken a seminar of his. I've spoken to him online, and he does a lot of anchoring and stuff like that, and that's the one thing that he always does is he did it with Joe Schilling, Liam Harrison, many high-level kickboxers and fighters.
What's anchoring?
I'm sorry?
What did he do?
Anchoring.
What's it called? What is that?
Anchoring is the idea of resetting or centering yourself. So in the moment where high stress, let's say you get caught with a shot, his is feeling your knuckles being pressed together with your gloves, and then have a word that you say to yourself to make yourself feel calm. Usually it is the word calm. So you get caught with a shot, you go, calm. To remind yourself that's the feeling that I should be feeling, not panic, fear, anger, anything like that. It's calm, I guess you could say emotionless, but that's something that I've been really thinking about.
When I was in
more.
college, it's changed as I've grown. But when I was in college, the doctor that I had, his name was Dr. Eukelson. Shout out Penn State, Dr. Eukelson, amazing man. But he all call it stinking thinking. Anytime I would get fearful, it's because I had some stinking thinking. Well, what if this guy? And he said, Bubba J, you're one of the best athletes I've ever seen. As far as 95% of the things that you're thinking never happen to the type of athlete you are. Only 5% of that may or may not happen, and if you're slipping. But 95% of your stinking thinking doesn't even happen. Stop stinking thinking, Jenkins. And he made me say it over and over. Really, when I came in, he saw me around the campus. Hey! Stop stinking thinking, Jenkins. And that's all I would say. Whenever I was in the match, I'd be in the back. This guy, and I wrestled in the Big Ten, so I'd be wrestling the number 8 guy in the country, the number 5 guy in the country, the number 10 guy, Ohio State, Michigan. Stop stinking thinking, Jenkins.
Anytime the outcome.
Stop thinking. Let's go, baby. Stop thinking. Woo! Time to get it. Stop thinking. And that was literally my... Here we go, baby. Stop thinking. Jenkins.
So you're saying positive thoughts only, no doubts can enter your mind. The second that a doubt enters your mind.
Not only just the stinking thinking, but it's like anything that had to deal with not being in the right frame of winning. Whether it was other guys, distractions, the what ifs, the people calling you. No matter, it didn't have to do with the opponent. It didn't even have to do with the opponent. It's any stinking thinking. You got schoolwork. Yeah, I'm gonna beat the hell out of this guy, but I got a letter. I mean, this was in college for me, so
right.
I had a lot of work. I had to make GPAs and stuff. So it was no stinking thinking about everything that I was getting ready for while preparing to be an athlete that was trying to perform at a higher level.
Man, this is just, it's funny. We started on the topic of flow state, but I feel like we're talking now about just positive
Oh, it's all
thinking.
flow, baby.
It's all the flow.
You
Yeah.
gotta have that in the flow. If you don't have the positives and you don't have the emotionalist, and I would question if you are in the flow.
So, put you guys on the spot. Can you recommend any books concerning flow state, concerning positive thinking, affirmations, believe and you shall achieve, that kind of thing?
There's one called The Mindful Athlete.
I like
Okay.
that.
That's a good one. It was written by a guy who coached a lot of basketball players, like sports psychology for basketball players. I think he worked with like Kobe and a bunch of guys. He worked with Phil a lot, Phil Jackson. Another one for me, my favorite book for any type of sports or competition is called With Winning in Mind.
Okay.
And it was written by, I believe the guy's name is Lenny Bassam. But he has this whole mental system for how he competed. He won a few gold medals as a shooter. But it talked a lot about like the anchoring, things like that.
Right.
And for me, like those kind of just made me realize, like, yo, it's a lot of sports, a lot of competition is just 99% mental.
Oh,
Yes.
tremendous.
We're all doing the work. And yes, I'm gonna work harder than you and all that good stuff. I'm trying to train with better guys, better coaches than you. But if I go in there and my mental state's like at 60% when I come to fight day, I'm gonna lose.
Look, I got you the other day. The one thing,
Yeah.
7 habits of highly effective people. The book you're talking about today, the Mamba mentality.
Yeah. Just came out. Mama mentality.
That's
Kobe
gotta
Bryant.
be something.
It's gonna be.
Right.
Well, I get my knowledge. Obviously, I'm a believer. I get my knowledge from Psalms and Proverbs. I fight from the knowledge of Psalms 144:1. It's the Lord is my strength, teaches my hands for war, my fingers to fight. That is where I go into now. As I said, no more stinking thinking. My stinking thinking Jenkins has now become Psalms 144. The Lord is my strength, he teaches my hands.
Right.
So that's where I go. But there is a book called Instincts by T.D. Jakes. It's really good, and it's about the flow that you're trying to get into, but also that inner instinct that says, punch, jump, sprawl. That we don't listen to. Hit him with the hook, and then we don't hit him with the hook, and then he punches us, and it's like, yo, I told you. I mean, why aren't you listening to
Trusting your
that
gut
thing?
instinct.
Trusting that, but also knowing the difference between the right one and the wrong one. Because there was an instinct that said go, and you went and got smashed. Whoa. Like, you got to calculate that inner you, because because the book was basically explaining to me, it was explaining how much I am a Ferrari, and as I get older, my speed and everything gets more crazy. So as I'm whoa, okay, all right. Now I'm starting to understand the inner me of how I can get to places. But that instinct, that engine in that car is what.
You're
really
still
got
in your prime, Bo.
Come on,
Jay.
man.
You're still in your prime.
Yeah. Flow. We just got the bell. We just got in the flow, baby. We just got started.
All right, well, there you guys have it. Talked a little bit about the flow state, some books that you guys can check out. If you're an athlete, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, whatever it may be, check out more about the flow state. And follow these guys, will you? Coach PJ, Bubba Jenkins, Vince the Anomaly. These are your Fight Tips coaches. They're here to take care of you. Until next time, I'm Shane with Fight Tips for the Underdogs.
Huh?